Welcome to another story made by Oracle 1. The Iron Diaries. The year was 1942, and the streets of Warsaw were no longer a place of laughter and life but a grim stage cruelly set for despair. The once vibrant city had been carved into the infamous Warsaw Ghetto, a suffocating slum where nearly 500,000 Jews were imprisoned behind its barbed wires and stone walls. Hunger gnawed incessantly at their bellies, and fear stalked every shadow. In this parched wilderness of starvation and sorrow lived 13-year-old Marek Weiss. His eyes, dull yet burning with a fierce resolve, flickered beneath a mop of dark hair that clung to his forehead in the dampness. His thin frame was wrapped in a threadbare coat, his hands calloused from days of scavenging and bracing against the biting wind. Marek's home was a ramshackle apartment in the ghetto's heart, a home that once had held bustling family dinners and clamoring children, now silent except for the whispered prayers of his mother and the coughs of his younger sister, Hannah, who lay weakly under a tattered blanket. Life in the ghetto was a precarious game of survival. The Nazis rationed food cruelly. Starvation was a weapon meant to break the will of the imprisoned. Yet even amid this oppression, the spirit to live clung fiercely. Marek had found his purpose. He was a smuggler. Each dawn, before the grim light of the Warsaw sky could wash away hope, Marek slipped through cracks in the ghetto's wooden fences, the blackened ruins of Warsaw on the other side a treacherous maze. His small size allowed him to squeeze through holes in the walls where older men could not. The world beyond was dangerous, not simply because of the Nazi patrols, but because the city had been reduced to ash and rumor, shadows and betrayals. Yet he risked it all to bring food back: potatoes pilfered from farms, scraps of bread, cabbage, a feast to his starving family. On one gray morning, as Marek crept through the crumbled ruins near a demolished synagogue, he noticed something unusual. A door, half buried under broken bricks, leading to a cellar that should have been collapsed by now. Curiosity sparked, he pushed it open and slipped inside before the chill of the outside could sap his courage. The cellar was surprisingly intact, lit dimly by a single flickering oil lamp. In the corner rested a large metal trunk, heavy and cold to the touch. Marek, heart pounding, managed to pry it open with trembling hands. Inside lay a worn leather diary, bound with iron clasps, its pages yellowed but preserved. He hesitated. The diary belonged to a Nazi officer. He knew the handwriting from the scattered papers strewn near the base of the stairs, and yet, the desire to understand, to learn, overcame him. Folding the diary under his coat, Marek made his way back to the ghetto, shadows cloaking his silent flight. At home, under the pale light of a single candle, Marek calmed Hannah with a sip of watery tea cooked from a handful of scavenged herbs. His mother noticed the secret in his eye but said nothing as he pulled out the diary. The first page bore a cautious flourish of the officer's name, Lieutenant Wilhelm Richter. The entries began matter-of-factly, chronicling the minutiae of camp management and troop movements. Marek's eyes scanned over military jargon, but as the pages turned, a different story emerged. Richter was not merely a cold instrument of terror. His diary revealed a man conflicted and haunted. On one page, Richter expressed bittersweet memories of his childhood in Bavaria, the mother he missed, the violin he once played. Another page bore the sorrow of witnessing atrocities and the burden of obedience. Marek was stunned. Here was a man, perhaps no different from his own father or himself, dragged into a maelstrom of hate and cruelty. Weeks passed with Marek returning nightly to the diary, each line unspooling the officer's inner turmoil. Marek learned of a secret network within the Wehrmacht, officers sympathetic to the plight of the Jews, clandestinely sabotaging orders or passing information to the underground resistors. This knowledge kindled a spark within Marek. If the enemy's own ranks harbored dissenters, perhaps all was not lost. But with this came grave danger. The Gestapo had intensified their patrols. Rumors of mass deportations to far-off camps circled like vultures. The walls of the ghetto seemed to close tighter with each passing day. One evening, as Marek made his routine smuggling run, danger became his constant companion. Through the stifling night, he crawled beneath barbed wire, clutching the thin loaf of stolen bread and the diary hidden deep inside his coat. Suddenly, voices echoed nearby, and the sharp ring of boots set Marek's heart racing. 2 Nazi soldiers appeared, shining flashlights in their blind search for contraband. Marek held his breath, pressed himself against the cold stone of a building's naked wall. His fingers clutched the diary like a talisman. The soldiers passed dangerously close, their flashlight beams sweeping mere inches away. He remained frozen, breaths shallow and quick, until their footsteps faded into the distance. Safe, but trembling, Marek returned to the ghetto. Back in the dreary room he called home, Marek's mother took the diary unexpectedly. She traced the iron clasps lovingly, then opened to a passage her son had been obsessed over. March 18, 1942. Today, I witnessed the rounding up of a dozen Jewish families, their eyes hollow with fear and betrayal. The command stresses efficiency, but in my heart, I feel the weight of each life extinguished. I am trapped, a prisoner of orders I cannot obey. Her eyes shimmered with tears. This man, she whispered, he is no different than us. He too is lost in chains. Marek felt a new momentum surge within. The diary was not just a secret, it was a guide. Inspired, he started sharing the diary's hidden insights with the underground fighters. Using information about troop movements and guard rotations, the resistance planned small acts of defiance. Smuggling more food, freeing prisoners at night, sabotaging Nazi transports. Among the leaders was a woman named Esther Klein, a fierce advocate for her people. When Marek slipped her the diary, she clutched it with trembling hands and said, This could turn the tide. But with knowledge came peril. Lieutenant Richter's diary was a double-edged sword. If it fell into the wrong hands, not only would Marek and his family be doomed, but countless others depending on the network of hope could suffer brutal retribution. One icy dawn, the unthinkable happened. Betrayal snaked through the ghetto like poison. The Nazis, cracking down harder than ever, raided Marek's home. Gunfire shattered the fragile stillness. Marek's mother pushed him toward a hidden crawl space beneath the floorboards, whispering, "Hide, and be strong." For Hannah, for all of us. The officers stormed inside, overturning furniture, tearing curtains. One stepped upon the trapdoor but ignored it as Marek's breath caught in his throat. When silence returned, Marek climbed out, clutching the diary close to his chest. His home was ruined, his mother and sister were gone, deported to an unknown fate. Grief threatened to suffocate him, but Marek's resolve hardened into iron. The diary was their legacy, a map in the darkness, and Marek's lifeline. He fled deeper into the ghetto, blending with the crowd of desperate souls. The underground fighters sheltered him, the diary bearing secrets that illuminated a path to resistance. Months passed, and Marek's knowledge grew. He studied the passages of the diary, memorizing coded messages and hidden orders. In a daring operation inspired by a note in the diary, the resistance seized critical supplies destined for a Nazi camp, redistributing them to the starving. But Marek knew it was not enough. One night, as he pored over the diary under a sliver of moonlight, his fingers halted on a passage he had overlooked. August 5, 1942. I have commenced plans to leak documents to those who oppose this madness. If this journal is recovered by a good hand, let it be a record of the truth, a clarion call to justice. Suddenly, Merrick understood the diary's true purpose. Wilhelm Richter had purposely left the diary behind for someone to find, for someone with courage to rewrite the course of history. Using this revelation, Merrick and the resistance meticulously planned a large-scale uprising, coordinating attacks, sending messages to outside allies. April 19, 1943, the day the Warsaw Ghetto uprising began, dawned gray and cold. Merrick stood among makeshift barricades, armed with determination and the diary's words guiding him. Flames engulfed the streets as the stunned Nazis faced fierce resistance, the voices of the oppressed rising in unyielding defiance. Though overwhelmed and outgunned, the fighters' courage left an indelible mark on history. Amid the chaos, Merrick clutched the diary, its iron-bound cover scuffed and worn, a symbol of hope dug from despair. When the smoke finally settled, and the embers cooled, Merrick survived, a witness to a rebellion born from the ashes of cruelty and fueled by the unexpected humanity of a Nazi officer who dared to question. Years later, now a man with silver streaking his hair, Merrick would tell the story of the Iron Diaries, the secret journal that bridged two worlds, revealing that even in the darkest hour, the human heart could choose its path. For more stories, like and subscribe.